Can't complain. Pretty good. Now, here in Seward, one of the most well-known landmarks is this mountain right next to us with the little trail going up it. It's known as Mount Marathon, the site of one of the oldest foot races in America.
Oh my.
This has been going on since 1915.
Wow.
Started on a bar bet. A couple guys sitting around in a bar. One of them told the other, "I bet you can't run to the top of that and back down in less than an hour." And I'll buy everyone around if you do it. And if you can't do it, you buy everyone around. So the guy ran to the top and back down. Took him an hour and 20 minutes. So he had to buy everyone around. And like Pavlov's dog, he got real excited about the concept of having people run up and down there. And nowadays, 800 people every 4th of July run all the way to the top of the mountain, tumble down, and as quickly as gravity will take them. Ambulances lined up for all the watching them run to their elbow broken. They all just kind of tossed on the ground. There's a crazy bunch of people trying to get that prize money. Actually, there isn't any prize money.
All the way to the bottom. The best time, 40 minutes and 21 seconds. The worst time, 9 years, 11 months and counting. There's a guy who ran all the way to the top almost 10 years ago. This will be the 10th anniversary this year. Ran all the way to the top, disappeared off the face of the earth. We have no idea what happened to him. Ordinarily, if a bear would have ate him, we would have found pieces. All right, they don't eat the shoes, the feet. You know, normally there's some parts that they don't like. They leave behind like a little husk. Nothing. All right, and it's pretty hard to get lost. The whole side of that mountain, you look down, it's all straight to town. A lot of people think the guy faked his own death, which isn't that far-fetched because he did owe outstanding debt to the IRS. And if there's one thing Alaskans hate, it's paying taxes. We're not so different, you and me. Now, this was our coal export facility. In the average year, we would export 2 million tons of coal from the Healy coal fields up by Denali National Park. And in 2015, we shut down our coal export facility, as it was no longer economical with how cheap natural gas has gotten. Coal just couldn't compete. I tell you what, if you want to find a bunch of anti-fracking environmentalists, go to coal country. They'll tell you all about that coal is, or that natural gas is bad news. And you go out on the oil slope and they'll tell you, gosh, we got to get rid of that coal. It's bad news. They both agree wind turbines are terrible for birds. But we all want the lights on. You know, whatever's cheaper will always win. When coal is cheaper, it would win. When natural gas is cheaper, it'll win. If it was cheaper for us to burn puppies to heat our homes, we would burn puppies to heat. It's not economical, though, so we're not doing it with current technology. But if the technology changes, though, it's only a matter of time. But you see how fast that crowd turned on me? Oh, Lord. That was quick. So we got a beautiful ride ahead of us heading out to Seward here today. If you fell in love with Seward and you want to stay, there are jobs available right here. Actually, they're on a big hiring spree. You can work at the cannery. If you've ever wanted to work on the slime line, don't let your dreams be dreams. You can put fish in a can, a lot of fun. It doesn't pay all that great, but you get time and a half for hours over 8 worked in a day, as well as time and a half for hours over 40 worked in a week when you're in Alaska. Also, they provide your housing and your meals. All the canned salmon you can eat all summer long. Pretty good deal. Yeah, but yeah, if you do want to work here for a summer, you know, don't let your dreams be dreams. A lot of folks tell me this in my line of work. Oh, I wish I could have done that when I was younger. Don't wait until you're younger. Do it now. This is an attainable goal. It's always so strange when people tell me, oh, I wish I could do what you do. It's like someone going to Wendy's and telling the cashier, like, I wish I could have this job. This is a super attainable job. You could get this. I worked with a 74-year-old woman on the train named Ethel, who was the bartender on board the train. And she didn't need the money. She just did it. It's a retirement thing to kind of keep her busy. And it's so much fun, if you've ever worked in customer service, to work with somebody who doesn't care if they lose their job, and to witness the interactions as difficult customers kind of get their comeuppance. And she was so much fun to work with. She always bragged she had a heavy fork because of Parkinson's. So the passengers really, by the end of their ride, they were 3 sheets to the wind. But she'd always have a snappy answer for folks if they gave her any sass. She'd put them right in their place. Remember one passenger, they're like, this isn't what I ordered. She just brings them a drink. This isn't what I ordered. She's like, so what? Drink it anyway. Like, but I'd like something. I'd like what I ordered. She's like, you'd complain if they hung you with a golden noose. It was just such random things she'd bust out with. It was so much fun. So yeah, think about getting some work here in Alaska. You do get a discount too if you want to do a lot of fun excursions, if you want to do airplane rides in Talkeetna, if you want to do dog sled rides, any of that stuff. If you work in the industry, you get them for 1/10 of the cost. So yeah, think about getting a job at a restaurant or something and hanging out for a while. So we're going to be going past a bald eagle's nest a little further up here as we're heading out of town. So we'll keep a lookout for that. I do recommend as we're going along, if you spot any critters, avoid the urge to take pictures. Your pictures will never do it justice from a moving vehicle. And even if the stars align perfectly, I remember getting a black bear picture from the train when I was working on the train. I was so excited. This one spot, we're going around a curve. Perfect situation. I was outside on the deck. I took a picture and sent it to my family and friends before I lost reception. This is Alaska. Look at this beautiful picture. And finally I get a flood of responses when I get back in reception. How sad, how wasteful. Is that how they live in Alaska? And I realized it just looked like garbage bags on a hillside. It looked nothing like bears. Your pictures oftentimes don't do it justice. So enjoy it with your eyes. Use Google image search for your pictures to send to your family and friends. But there's something about seeing it in person and living in the moment. You can't put a price tag on. It's all about. And I'm glad to see a lot of you are getting off at hotels instead of the airports. They get a little opportunity to see more of the state. Take advantage of that. Get out and explore. Well, we're coming up to that bald eagle's nest here shortly on the right-hand side. Now I'm on the way in. Mom and Dad were home. Right now it's at about the 1 o'clock position to the bus. Kind of see it through the trees there. It's a pretty big sized nest. Here we see the 1 o'clock coming to the 2 o'clock way up in that tree. And it looks like we got someone in the nest. They're directly beside us now. And Mom or Dad are home. Oh, and there's another one up in the air. Flying overhead. Look at that. America! Right there. Some trips where we stop at the wildlife transfer or the wildlife conservation center along the way, and you see the bald eagle up close. It's unbelievable how massive they are. They got one that all the critters there have a sob story at the wildlife center. You know, like they got hit by a car, or they're an orphan or a drug addict or something, and it's kind of neat to see them all up close. All the critters right there. Now we're riding on the William Seward Highway here, the namesake of the town of Seward, the guy who was Secretary of the Interior during the Civil War. He's the guy who got us the great state of Alaska from Russia. It was a pretty sweet deal. We got this great big state for $7.2 million. Now, granted, there's inflation that's happened since then. Oh, all right. Can you hear me now? No, you can't hear me in the back?
Yes.
Most of you can. One of you said you can't. Oh, they can't at the very back. All right, let me. I'll turn it up one little tick here. Check. There we go. All right, is that a little bit better back there? Yep. All right. So William Seward. This is a pretty wild story. Russia approaches William Seward. In today's money, by the way, would be $140 million that we bought Alaska for. Still a pretty good deal. It seems like everything starts at $1 trillion nowadays. So they talk to William Seward, the Russians. They say, hey, you guys want to buy some Alaska? And at the time we got the Civil War going on, he says, now's really not a good time. We got a lot on our plate. We're going through a lot of expenses. We don't even know if we're going to be a whole country. What's going to happen at the end of this all? But Russia's really eager to sell. This was looked at as Siberia's Siberia. That's so far away from everything, so desolate. We don't want it. And not just that, but there's concern that the British are just going to steal it anyway. We're right next to British Columbia. The Russian Empire would be too overextended trying to defend this territory, and so they're trying to sell it to America. Now, after the Civil War ends, we almost lose William Seward. We end up having an assassination attempt. Spoiler alert, the North won, but there were some sore losers on the other team, and they weren't real happy about it. They're going to take out the top 3 people in the Union: the President, the Vice President, and the Secretary of the Interior. This assassination plot pretty advanced. They had each of the people planned out to do it. As we know, the president's assassin was successful. He took out Abraham Lincoln at Ford's Theater. The guy tasked with taking out the vice president needed a shot of courage. So he stopped into a tavern before he did the deed and had a shot of courage. Still wasn't brave enough, so he took another and another and then passed out drunk at the bar, never making an attempt on the vice president's life. Now, William Seward was not so lucky with his assassin. His assassin shows up at his home. Now, William Seward had just been in a bad horse carriage accident. That was a thing back then. And he was all bust up, and he's laying in bed convalescing after the accident. This assassin has a pretty good plan. He's already showing up. He's going to go to a bedridden guy's house to assassinate him. Should be a pretty easy job. He's got to have a good cover story. So he tells people he's the doctor, and he's got medicine for William Seward. And he has an associate of his come with him, show him the house, and hold on to his horse as he hops off and goes inside, knocks on the door. The servant answers the door. He says, "Hi, I'm here. I'm William Seward's doctor. I'm here to give him medicine." The servant knows the doctor just left 20 minutes before, so this is awful suspicious. And he's, I don't think so. Let me check. And the assassin forces his way into the house, and at one point there's starting to be a struggle with William Seward's son. The assassin pulls out a pistol, and it misfires. And then everybody's clubbing him and beating him. The servant runs outside. "Murder! Murder!" Freaks out. The guy who's holding the horse is like, forget this. Ditches the horse, takes off on his own. And meanwhile, the assassin makes his way up to William Seward's room. And in William Seward's room, he pulls out a knife, and he stabs William Seward repeatedly in the face and neck. Now, fortunately for William Seward, he's wearing a neck brace from that bad carriage accident, which protects his neck from the worst blows. But his face does take a couple of stab wounds, and he has scars for the rest of his life to show, it's a badge of honor to show he survived. But after that accident, after that attack, he does keep on keeping on. And after losing the president, the Union carries on, and Russia reapproaches us, and we work out the deals, and we buy this great land for $7.2 million. 2 cents an acre, I guess about 40 cents an acre in today's money, but still an amazing bargain. We realize, it's a very widely held myth that it was a stupid move, and a lot of America had editorials, "Oh, we shouldn't have bought it, it's a polar bear garden, it's Seward's folly." That's very much in the minority. That historical interpreters, they look back at the record and they say, no, most people were pretty on board with this. This was clearly a good deal for America. We realized with Manifest Destiny, only a matter of time before Canada is all ours too. And as we all know, do we have any Canadians on board? All right, as we all know, there's Operation Maple Syrup that we're going to be going on in the next few months. So, it's only a matter of time before this whole great land is ours. So, worked out pretty well for us. All things considered, all the gold we've pulled out of this great state and still pull out of this great state. We still have active gold mines taking place. We produce the second most gold after Nevada throughout the United States. And if you ever get the gold fever, if you want to go out there pan for gold or work a sluice, it's the thing that gets people. It's a bug. It's like the old claymation Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, where the Yukon Cornelius is licking his pickaxe and looking for gold, freaking out. That it is a madness that takes over people for gold. I have a good friend that's a gold bug, and he'll go out. He realized real early on that a pan, that's not really for getting gold. Pan is just to see if an area has gold. But once you find it, you're going to do production level. You get yourself a little lawnmower engine. You get yourself these rockers that go back and forth. Get a nice sluice going with a pump, and he'll work out there. The goal is just to work through as much material as possible, because there's tiny little flakes of gold in that material. You just have to work through as much as possible. And he'll do back-breaking labor, eaten by mosquitoes, sweating in the heat, working through that dirt just for those tax-free gains, that little bit of gold flex. And And he's told me that he's had 12-hour days. Every once in a while, he'll find a good little vein, and he's pulled out as much as $100 worth of gold over a 10 or 12-hour day. So it's pretty exciting. But it's tax-free, so that's pretty nice. He gets pretty excited. We've got all these little jars of gold flakes that could very well be pyrite. We're not really sure, but it's a fun little hobby to have and get into. And if you're kind of a gold bug, you can stop by in Anchorage. The Alaska Mint has actually little gold nuggets right here from the state of Alaska, pulled out of the ground, unrefined, in their original form, kind of interesting conversation pieces. They are a little bit over spot price, and so, but it's kind of neat to have little collectibles of Alaska gold. The Alaska Mint, I like them a lot, right on 4th Street, because they sponsor the Slammin' Salmon Derby going on right now. A big contest, see who can land the biggest king. In previous years, 40 pounds. It's our first year back. It's pretty wild seeing them all right there in Ship Creek in downtown Anchorage, shoulder to shoulder, trying to grab themselves a king. It's a pretty exciting little contest that we got going on right now. And even though you're out of stater, you can get yourself a permit, you can get your rental gear, and you can get out there too and try to snag yourself a king salmon. It's a heck of a lot of fun, and if you end up entering into the contest, that helps raise money for charities. I mean, 4 different charities supported with that, and it's a fun event. And hang out with the locals, getting your feet muddy. Now, a lot of people ask me if I go fishing out here. I do not. I dip net. As an Alaskan resident, I don't have to mess around with a rod and reel. I get the opportunity to take 25 salmon, and I can do it in one go. My cousin, you're allowed 10 additional for each dependent, so he's allowed 55 salmon. Between the two of us, we'll take those 80 salmon in less than 4 hours. We get brought to the Copper River. We got a pretty good spot that there's an outfit that'll take you to this little perfect location. And as soon as you dip that net in the water, it seems like whenever you pull it out, it'll have at least one fish in it, just like that. Real easy peasy. You just about get tennis elbow from clubbing them and putting them on the stringer. But after all the expenses, we end up driving over 4 hours out of Anchorage with the truck. We pay the guy $200 a head to bring us to the good spot right along the cliff where we can find the fish. And after all said and done, I could have bought it at Costco for about the same amount. But there's something about knowing the story of your own fish. There's something about getting your own critters out of the wild.